Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Dan Barrett. Thanks for being on the show, Dan.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm super pumped to be here. Very excited.
Dan helps real estate investors and agents get more deals online. He's a Google Premier Partner, manages over $5 million in investor ad spend, founder of the REI Marketing Nerds Facebook group and the REI Marketing Nerds podcast. Dan, why don't you give our listeners a little more about your background and exactly what you do, in this space?
Sure. My background was I was actually training to be a history teacher, high school history teacher, and got involved in online marketing, working with some bands that I was in. I was like in college and doing band stuff and needed to learn to make websites and all that stuff for that. And, just got really deeply into it, started freelancing, and kind of got sucked into the real estate investing space. Ended up getting a client who was an investor totally randomly, and worked with him and loved it. He kind of explained to me what the whole industry was all about, and I knew I needed to, what I wanted to do was go really, really deep in a particular space and just pick an area where I thought I could be the best in the world. And so I picked real estate investing, and from there, it's kind of history. We're a team of 10. The company's called AdWords Nerds. We started just doing Google AdWords for real estate investors, specifically going after motivated seller leads. And over time, it's just grown. We added Facebook ads, we added Bing ads, we added search engine optimization. We're working in YouTube, all sorts of stuff, and really kind of following that original idea of going super deep in an area where we thought we could just have the most data, have the most experience, innovate the most. And it's been a blast, man. So that's my full-time gig, is just helping investors get more deals online.
No, that's great. That's great. And I look forward to this because I know a lot of the listeners, online marketing is something, most of us struggle with, or we're going to have to hire that out, or, even saying the words email marketing, people are like, I don't know, about that. What is that? Is that sending out an email blast every once in a while, And so, as far as, helping us to market to investors and market, ourselves and our thought leadership platforms, our businesses, really promoting our businesses. I'd love just your opinion about email marketing and, CRMs and AdWords and, all those things, and really help me get us started in knowing what we need to know. And then I'll ask questions, as we go about different topics or different ways that we need to take the conversation.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before we jumped on the call, but, this is something I do for my own business, my own agency. We grew entirely off of paid traffic. So right now, we spend about $10,000 a month in Facebook ads alone. So it's our primary acquisition channel, and my clients are investors, right? So I'm marketing to investors all the time. And, even beyond that, I've launched a couple different agencies, helped other people launch agencies, and almost always I rely on paid client acquisition, paid traffic, in order to bootstrap those companies and get them cash flowing, right? So it's something I really deeply believe in. There's a lot of different approaches. I think the biggest thing that I'll typically think about, if I'm talking to someone that's completely new, there's like, okay, I haven't done anything yet. Right? You don't have any paid traffic acquisition. You're not doing organic. You have not done that yet. Right? You just think of this as it's a really can be technically complicated, but it doesn't need to be. And it's purely a way of forming relationships with people at scale. Right? For a long time, online marketing was, hey, I show you an ad and I try to sell you a thing and you buy the thing from the ad, right? So it's like, here's my course, buy my course. You click the ad, it takes you to the thing where you can buy the course and you buy the course. And that's not really how it's done anymore. I think the population of people that your clients are trying to reach out to, right? Potential investors. These people are just way more savvy now than they used to be. And it's not really kind of thing where the novelty of doing something online is enough to secure that purchase or that transaction or that relationship. So for me, I just think of this as, my job is to get in front of the right people and provide as much value as possible. So all the ads that I run are not to buy anything, right? I run ads to a 2-hour-long webinar that I recorded a couple years ago. It's been seen by over 6,000 investors, right? And it's really popular. We've run for multiple years. It just continues to be a really, really great acquisition channel. And that webinar, I don't sell anything. It's just solid content the entire time. At the end of it, my offer is, if you want to get on the phone and talk about working with us, we're going to continue to provide value to you on the phone. And if it's right, I'll tell you it's right. And if it's not, I'll tell you it's not. And there's like no hard sell at any part of that process. And that's been our single biggest client acquisition channel for years, right? Even now it's like I'm rolling out new ad creatives all the time. And here's a free tool. Here's something I learned, running my business that I think is going to be valuable to you. Here's something awesome that you're going to really get use out of. So I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm just trying to form that relationship. And if you can do that and provide a lot of value, people will seek you out and be like, how do I work with you, right? What do you do, right? People email me all the time and are like, what do you do? What do you actually do? And then I say like, okay, I help real estate investors get more deals online. And almost all the time they're like, well, I want that. And I know they want that because they're in my target audience, right? And I did that by targeting them early on. So I think one of the things I always tell people is I never think of it as my job is to sell someone something. My job as the marketer is to make sure they know what I do and to form a really strong relationship with that person so that when they're ready to buy, they come to me first. And I think if you kind of flip it that way, it just becomes a lot easier. You're just being nice to people at scale, which is actually pretty fun. Does that make sense?
Yes. I like what you just said. And let me see if I got that right. I don't think of it as having to sell someone something, but I want to educate them so they come to me first.
Absolutely.
Or make sure they know what I do.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, just thinking about it from my perspective as a business strategy purely, right? Because, I like being nice to people, but if all I did was lose money all day being nice to people, I couldn't do it very long, right? I have to get a return on investment. I'm very analytical. I want to see a positive ROI in almost everything that I do. And that ROI might be long-term, might be short-term, whatever. But the key to it for me is just realizing that that relationship's worth a certain amount over time. And the people that are ready to go right away will go right away. They'll seek you out, they'll buy from you. It's a tiny percentage of any market are people who are like, I've got money, here's the money. They just need to know that you exist and they hand you money, right? Those people are awesome. There's just not that many of those people. And the vast majority of people are just not ready. They're not ready right now, but they may be ready sometime in the future. And they're going to go with the person that they know, like, and trust when they get to that point.
That's right.
So for me, building those relationships over time, especially in the beginning, it might feel like it doesn't produce a positive ROI, but almost all the people that come into our business right now, they've been on my email list. They've seen a training that I've done. They've listened to my podcast. They've read stuff that I've written. And they have a relationship with me. They feel like they have this connection with me before we ever get on the phone. And that's worth tons of money if you can do that over time.
Yes, I want to dig in a little bit on numerous things you've said, but to start with, what kind of CRM do you use or recommend for somebody in our industry?
So I think it depends kind of on what you're trying to do. there are CRMs, and then there are kind of like email automation programs. And I think the line between those things kind of blurs a lot of the time. So I use ActiveCampaign for all my email marketing, my marketing automation. And then
is that your CRM also, or is it just for email marketing?
Well, yes. So, all of our leads go into ActiveCampaign first. Now for a long time, what we've done is, and you don't have to divide it up this way, but the way we've divided it up is ActiveCampaigns where all our marketing is done in order to get someone to become a prospect. And by prospect, I mean, they raise their hand, they want to get on the phone with us, they've expressed direct interest in working with us, right? So like if you watch a training or you download a PDF that I've put out, or any of the free stuff that I've done, you essentially go into ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaigns where we nurture that relationship over time. So that's kind of like the, CRM stands for customer relationship management, and I'm managing that relationship. Now, when they hop sort of over that fence into, hey, I'm really interested in working with you. I've applied for a strategy session with you. I've, raised my hand and said, yes, I want to do this. They go into a different system. So we actually send them into Pipedrive, which is more of a sales-oriented CRM. And our sales team uses Pipedrive. And I love both those systems. I could use just ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign has like a sales CRM set up in it. I just like Pipedrive a little more, and they're relatively cheap. So it's like not a big deal to use both. But, for all the CRM questions, really the question you're asking yourself is like, what am I comfortable using? Because the biggest danger with using a CRM is that you're going to fill it up with people and you're not going to stay on top of it, right? It's essentially like, I don't know, I feel like everybody has a closet in their house where you throw like all the old like power cords from your computer you don't have anymore, like all that stuff, right? And you just toss it in there. Like I heard somebody say recently, like they had a closet that was organized by decade, right? So it's like, whatever, it's a pile that you can excavate, and you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be a living system that's up to date, because if you don't keep it up to date, you lose most of the value of it, right? And I'm just as guilty of this as anyone else. So for me, it's like, what are you going to use? Infusionsoft is a really popular one, but for me, and I love automation and marketing, that's how I procrastinate, is like just messing around with all that stuff. Infusionsoft is just too much for me, right? I would prefer a program that's more streamlined, that does a fewer number of things really well. And so for me, I love ActiveCampaign. I think the email automation is really strong. I don't really use the CRM part of it, but I use all the other parts of it. So, it's not like one ring to rule them all kind of situation, but it is like, think about how much you really need and kind of find the minimal one that will work for you. Because all the major CRMs now are great. Yeah. My first ever investor client, this guy, Dan Schwartz, who was an investor in Baltimore at the time, he's gone on to make an entire CRM for real estate investors called Investor Fuse. That's like completely amazing. It does all this stuff, like it, can send out postcards and, ringless voicemails, and it does like all these bonkers things, but it's really, really targeted just at real estate investors. So like, that's a great fit for them, but it would be overkill for my business per se. Right. So it's kind of you got to think about what you need and then find the minimal viable option that'll do that stuff for you.
Are you tired of answering emails from investors about when they'll receive their K-1s? Let the real estate CPA handle the accounting and taxes on your next syndication, and they'll file your tax returns by March 15th so you can get your K-1s to your investors by the individual filing deadline on April 15th. Not only will this reduce headaches, but it will help you retain investors over the long term by improving investor experience. The Real Estate CPA is now offering a special virtual workshop to the listeners of the Real Estate Syndication Show on how to answer tax-related questions from your investors. Learn more today by visiting therealestatecpa.com/syndication. So you like ActiveCampaign, And then, but earlier you talked about, how you get in front of people, or you have to know how you get in front of people. And so you use active campaigns. So how do you get in front of people to get those leads into active campaigns so then you can start marketing to them?
Yeah, I've got a couple different approaches that I use. And I think that all these are very applicable to the people that are listening to this podcast. I've used these approaches with other companies and different agencies, and I think it works well, right? The shortest distance is to run a campaign with, what we'll call the ethical bribe, right? So that's like the free thing. You say, give me your email in exchange for a free thing. And then they get free thing. And then the end of free thing is the option to continue working with them. For me, it's usually getting people on the phone, right? If it's your e-commerce, it's buying some kind of widget or tchotchke, right? Whatever your sales process is, right? So you just think about, it goes add to ethical bribe. The ethical bribe says, if you want to continue, pass directly into my sales process, right? And then they do that. That's the easiest approach. It's the simplest one. It's the one I started with. We still do a ton of traffic that way, and it's really, really valuable. But this gets into where you have to think about your market a little bit. There are, I think it's Eugene Schwartz, is like one of the classic advertising copywriters. One of the founders of modern advertising, right? And Schwartz's idea was that markets have different levels of sophistication, right? You can start with a market that is completely unaware, both that they have a problem or that there's a solution for that problem. And if you want to market to an audience like that, you have to first get them to become aware that there's a problem, and then that there's a solution, and then that you are the solution, right? So there's multiple steps, right? And you can go all the way up to a market where they are both completely aware of the problem that they have and aware that there are solutions available. And all you have to convince them of is that you're the best solution of all the possible solutions, right? So as if you are looking for investors, right, there's a difference between approaching a market that doesn't even know that real estate syndication is a thing, right? They have no idea what that means. They have no idea what it does for them. They have no idea what the benefit might be for working with one of your clients. So that's one problem. I've got to start all the way at the beginning and tell them all that stuff. Versus an audience that's more sophisticated, that maybe they know they want to be invested in real estate, but they don't know how. That's a totally different conversation, right?
Right.
Depending on where your market is in that spectrum of sophistication, you kind of need more or less steps, right? So if I need to convince someone that they have a problem, and then that they have a solution, and then that that I'm the best solution, I will probably not just do, here's an ethical bribe straight into my sales process, because they're not even going to know that they want this thing, right? If I said top 10 benefits of a really specific kind of real estate investing, and I market that to the average person, they don't know anything about real estate. They don't care. They don't think that applies to them. No one's going to opt into it, right? No one's going to click on that. So instead, I might have to, I've got to meet them where they're at. And that might be talking about retirement. That might be talking about cash flow. That might be talking about the economy, whatever it is, right? So when I'm taking that more, sort of long-term approach, I won't necessarily just hit them with an ethical bribe and go straight into the sales process. What I'm going to try to do then is form that relationship that I was talking about. So I might, for example, run an ad. In fact, I'll use a real world example, okay? Because I'm doing this now. I will run an ad that says, hey, is online marketing right for you? As a real estate investor looking for motivated sellers, there are investors that can really do online marketing now really well. And there are investors where online marketing is not a good fit for them, whether it's their market or whatever. You probably don't know which one you are. Here's a free guide to figuring out which one you are. And there's no opt-in. I don't ask for an email. I don't ask for anything. I literally don't ask for anything. It's just free. Check it out, right? Now, depending on how I do that, let's say I make that a blog post, and all I do is just promote the blog post. All they got to do is click. They don't have to give me their email. They don't have to give me anything. All I'm doing is generating some interest.
When you say ad, did you mean like Facebook ad?
Yeah, I'll talk Facebook here specifically, because I think when you're dealing with an audience that is not actively searching for you specifically, Facebook is still, in my opinion, the dominant ad channel. And I love AdWords. AdWords is a really good example of an ad channel that works for someone who knows what they want already, right? So if you're trying to educate people long-term, Facebook's a much better option. So, let's say I'd like promote my blog post. They get value out of it. They're like, cool. Well, I can show ads just to the people that clicked on that blog post, right? That's called retargeting in Facebook. So I'm saying like, okay, I run that ad promoting the blog post. I don't ask for anything. The people that clicked on that ad and saw my blog post, now they're going to see a different set of ads. That different set of ads might be like, hey, I talk about all sorts of like retirement and real estate investing stuff. I know you're interested in real estate investing. Why don't you just opt in for my mailing list? It's totally free. And I'll give you this other thing of value. So again, leading with value, they're one step into the process now. I still haven't really asked for them for anything other than an email. In exchange, now I have the ability to grow that relationship over time.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you talked about leading with value.
Absolutely. Always, right? So then it's like, cool. Now they've given me their email. They got more free stuff. Now they like me. And I might put them into an automated sequence in ActiveCampaign, but you could do it in Drip or Infusionsoft or any of these systems, right? Put them into an automated sequence where I'm going to send them an email every day for 5 days that says, hey, you read that blog post and you downloaded my PDF thing, give me your email. Here's the 5 most important things you need to know about using real estate as a retirement vehicle. So here's this, right? Value. Now, in every single one of those emails, I might hint at like what I actually do, right? So if I'm helping people retire with real estate, I might be like, first email is, most important problem that people run into with their retirement is they don't include real estate at all. They're too scared of it. They think it's scary. They don't realize that there are other options available. Now, it's true. I myself offer these kind of like low risk real estate options to people. So of course I might be biased, but blah, 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 blah. So now it's like, I just said what I did. I still haven't asked them for anything, but now they're like, well, now they're curious, right? By the time I get to like email 3, I will start to say like, by the way, if you want to work together, click this link, jump on the phone with someone on my team, and we'll see if it's a good fit. And that's like as hard as I will pitch them for a long time. So,
So to break down actually what, the listener needs to make that happen. So if they had something like ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft, they're using one of those as their CRM, is that, can they build the Facebook ads using those platforms, or is that something separate? Or, what do we need to make that happen?
Yeah, so you're going to build your ads in Facebook. Right, you're going to go into your business manager in Facebook, which is business.facebook.com, or I think if you go to facebook.com/ads, try to tell Facebook you're trying to spend money on ads, and they'll find you. Right now, you're not going to slip through their fingers; they will figure it out. So just go, Facebook around or Google around, you'll find it, and they have an interface there for making your own ads. It's pretty simple. AdWords is I would say like AdWords and Facebook, the difference is like AdWords looks like Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know if you remember that video game, but it's like you get in and it's like the cockpit of a plane. Yeah. And it's just a bunch of dials and stuff. And you're like, that's what Google AdWords is like. Facebook is kind of like your iPhone, right? If you're they try to make it simple. It looks all nice, right? It's shiny. There's friendly faces everywhere. So it's much easier to get into.
And how does that connect to our CRM or our email marketing platform?
Yeah. So for your CRM, it's going to depend. So if you've got, for example, a WordPress website that's like your website, right? You can create a form in ActiveCampaign and embed it into your website. You could have a landing page creation tool. So there's ClickFunnels, Unbounce, Lead Pages. These are websites that they're basically make it easy to make little forms and stuff. And you can plug that directly into those systems, all those landing page systems.
Do you use
what's that?
Do you use any of those?
I will typically use ClickFunnels for different opt-in offers, or I'll just send people to my website. It doesn't really matter to me, other than the thing that matters is you have a destination that you're sending someone to that makes it easy for them to do the thing you want them to do. It's like if you want their email, you got a big email form and a big headline and like nothing else, right? Because it's like anytime you give someone a choice, this is a universal truth of online marketing. The more choices you give people, the less likely they are to do anything at all, right?
Yes.
Like it's like if you go to a restaurant, I just had this conversation with my wife. We went to Mohegan Sun. This was like for her birthday, right? And we spent the night at the hotel. This is a casino in Connecticut, if you're not familiar. And we went to a restaurant in the casino. And it's one of these restaurants that have like a menu that has like 10 pages in it, right? Double-sided with like tiny text. It's like everything. You could order chicken fried steak and a pizza and a cheesesteak and also like pasta and fish and like anything, right? And it's exhausting to even think about it, right? It's just too much. So whenever you are sending paid traffic anywhere, you want to try to send them, just as a general principle, to somewhere that says, here is one thing I want you to do, and that is all I'm giving you the option to do, the one thing, right? So if it's email, email. Blog post, just the blog post. As simple as humanly possible, right? So any of those pages will connect directly to your CRM, right? I am a big fan of a tool called Zapier, which is Zapier. And what Zapier does is connect different software systems. So you could create these little recipes that say like, if this happens on my website, send that person's information over here to Infusionsoft or whatever. You could even have people opt in directly in Facebook. It's called the Facebook lead form ad or leads ad, I think. They don't even have to leave Facebook. They can just click a button. It'll send you their email, right? So there's 1,000,001 ways to do it, and all of them can work. The principle is lead with the value, have a clear idea of what you want them to do, and then send them to a place where they can only really do that thing. And if you do that consistently and you just keep providing more and more value, both on the front end before you have their email and on the back end after you have their email, something really powerful starts to happen. I mean, since the new year started, I ironically don't email my list a whole lot. Historically, I haven't emailed my list a whole lot. And for the new year, I was like, look, I got like 10,000 people on this email list. I never email them. Like I email them like once a month. It's always like the best day of the month revenue-wise. And somehow I just never learned my lesson that I should email the list. So I was like, my New Year's resolution is I'm emailing them every day. Every single day.
Wow.
So they're like pretty long. A bunch of them have been pretty long. And it's exhausting. Like it's a lot of writing. And I've been doing trainings and it really, really good stuff. But I was like, this is going to be the best email list in this industry. Like if you're not on this email list, I want people to think you're an idiot if you're not on this list, right? So I've just been like hammering them.
Do you recommend emailing them that often as opposed to just, like once or twice a month or something like that?
Well, I would say it's definitely got to be more than once or twice a month. Does it have to be every day? I don't know. I'm doing this because someone else told me to do it. They were like, just email them every day. Magic happens. This is like literally the extent of the advice that I got. And I was like, fine. And I kind of just wanted to build the habit myself and I wanted to get better at it, right? Is that optimal? I don't have enough data yet. What I will say is that I'm starting to notice, and it hasn't been that long, we're like 2 weeks into the year or something like that. I'm starting to notice a very real momentum shift starting to happen. And what's interesting is that people will get on the phone. So they'll jump on the phone with a salesperson, right? So they'll apply for a call. They'll fill out we make everybody fill out an application before they talk to us. They'll jump on the phone with the salesperson. They'll talk about working with us. We've closed a bunch of business from it. And almost all of them complain. So they say, Dan emails me too much. It's too much. It's too much. I was going to in fact, somebody said this today. I was going to unsubscribe, but then I saw one email that kind of like piqued my interest. So I jumped on the phone and I'm like, yeah, that's why I emailed you every day.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? I do think there's a momentum shift that happens with the everyday, but is it right for everybody? I honestly don't know. I would say start with 3 times a week. It's not too much. And you can gain a lot of momentum that way.
Wow. Well, Dan, unfortunately, we are out of time, but we'll definitely have to have you back to talk more about AdWords and some search engine optimization, social media, and some of that. We'd love to have you back. But tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your business.
Yeah. So, if you're interested working with us, it's AdWordsNerds.com. So AdWords nerds.com is the website. And you can find me on Facebook. I post a lot on Facebook, and the Facebook group that you mentioned, which is the REI Marketing Nerds Facebook group. Post a lot there. I'll find you. If you're an investor, I'll find you. It won't be long, so you might as well just get it over with and come hang out. It's a really fun couple places to hang out online if you're interested in that space. And I share a lot of stuff that I'm doing and that we're testing and working. So hopefully people get a lot of value out of it.
And you're the type of person, though, that I'll sign up just to get your emails to see how you're marketing to people.
I do that all the time, man. You should totally do that. And I'm honest too about, I'll send emails out to my list and be like, I know you're sick of hearing from me, but here's why I'm doing this. So yeah, by all means, jump in. If anyone wants to look at the marketing stuff that I'm doing, especially like your listeners, right? Just hit me up on Facebook. I'm happy to share everything that we're doing. I'm very transparent about that stuff. So feel free to ask questions. I'm here to help.
Thank you so much, Dan. You provided some great content. I just love to lead with value and have a clear idea of what you want to do. Don't give them too many options. Be consistent. But thanks again. I hope the listeners will reach out to you before you have to reach out to them.
Yeah. Don't make me come for you. That'll be ugly. But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. I really appreciate it.
I hope the listeners will go to LifeBridge Capital and connect with me and schedule a call, and also go to our Facebook group so we can all learn from experts like Dan and grow our business together, especially learning how to do this complicated email marketing stuff. So have a great day, and we'll talk to each of you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.